What kind of mother throws her newborn baby into a freezing river just because he looked different? And how does that same baby grow up to stand in front of her 20 years later, with tears in his eyes, not to take revenge, but to save her life? You're about to hear a story that will break your heart, and then rebuild it with hope. It was a foggy dawn in a small snow-dusted town in Minnesota. The trees were bare, the river half frozen, and the world seemed hushed in judgment. In the stillness, a woman stumbled toward the water, clutching something tightly against her chest. It was a baby, her baby. His skin was wrinkled and splotchy, his tiny jaw slightly misshapen. The doctors had called it a genetic anomaly, but all she could see was shame. She whispered one final, "I'm sorry," before placing him in a basket and letting the river take him. But fate had other plans. 3 miles downstream, in a quiet cabin nestled on the riverbank, 62-year-old George Turner was sipping his morning coffee when he heard it. A faint cry, like a kitten. He dropped his mug and ran. There, half frozen in the reeds, was the basket. Inside, a trembling baby blue from cold, crying like the world had given up on him. George, a retired carpenter who had never had children of his own, didn't hesitate. "Don't worry, little guy," he said softly. "You're safe now. I got you." He named the boy River. River grew up with scars, not just on his face, but in how the world treated him. Kids at school mocked him. "Monster face," they'd shout. He'd come home with bruises not from fists but from words. George would patch him up, kiss his forehead, and tell him, "You are more than how you look. You're going to show them all, kid." And River believed him, or tried to. He learned to love nature, fix old wood, and build beautiful things with his hands. He didn't say much, but when he smiled, it could melt the ice on the coldest day. Then came the fire. One summer evening, George collapsed while working in the shed. River, just 14, dragged him out as flames licked at the walls. The fire department said they wouldn't have made it another 2 minutes. George survived, but the smoke had done damage. His lungs were never the same. Hospital bills piled up. River dropped out of high school and started working anything he could do. Fixing fences, shoveling snow, building furniture from scraps. He was quiet, polite, and so kind. People started to notice Mrs. Langley. The widow next door gave him free sandwiches every Sunday. A former bully from school offered him a ride to town one snowy day and, awkwardly, said, "Hey man, I was a jerk. You're all right." River smiled. Kindness was coming back around. On his 20th birthday, George gave River a letter. It had yellowed with age and smelled faintly of tears. "This was in the basket with you." It was from his birth mother. "I'm sorry, I couldn't bear to see your face and know it came from me. I don't have the strength. Forgive me." River read it once. Then again. Then he stood up, looked out at the river that had once tried to take him and whispered, "I forgive you." But that wasn't the end. A week later, River was delivering handmade chairs to a local shelter when he saw her thin, pale, shaking from withdrawal. The woman serving soup had called her Eleanor, that name. He waited until she stepped outside. "To smoke, Eleanor?" he asked. She turned. Her eyes were the same as his. She froze. Then her face crumpled. "I know who you are," she whispered. River said nothing. "I saw your face on the shelter's flyer. I knew the second I saw your name, River." She started crying, covering her face with her hands. "I was 19, alone. My parents were ashamed. I thought I was saving you from a life of pain. But I cursed myself every day since." River stepped closer. "I don't hate you," he said softly. "I just wanted to see you and tell you that I made it. Had someone who showed me kindness, and now, so do you." She looked at him, sobbing. "Why are you being so good to me?" River smiled gently. "Because someone was good to me first." River helped Eleanor get clean. He took her to meetings, brought her food, fixed a room in George's shed for her to stay in. George didn't ask questions, just nodded and said, "Glad you found what you were looking for." Eleanor didn't get better overnight. Some days were hard. She relapsed once, but River never gave up on her. Then one day, she brought home something, a flyer for a woodworking apprenticeship. "For you," she said, eyes bright. "You gave me a second chance. Now it's your turn." River got the apprenticeship. He started teaching local kids how to build birdhouses and benches. They didn't mock his face anymore. They asked him questions, listened to him speak, watched him smile. A local reporter did a piece on him. River, the boy who was left, but never lost. It went viral. Donations poured in to restore the community shed he used for teaching. Letters came from around the country, from kids who were bullied, from parents who had made mistakes, from strangers moved by his quiet strength. One letter stood out. It was from a woman in Canada. She wrote, "My daughter was born with facial differences. I was scared. I didn't know what kind of life she'd have, but your story gave me hope." River framed it, because that was the moment he realized. His pain had become someone else's healing. And that woman who once couldn't bear to look at him. She now sat in the front row every Saturday as he taught woodworking to kids with disabilities. Sometimes, he'd catch her crying happy tears. Because her son didn't just survive, he became someone's hero. Can you imagine that? Thrown away, but never unloved. Broken, but never bitter. River's story isn't just about survival. It's about the power of one act of kindness, and the ripple it creates. If this story touched your heart even just a little, let us know in the comments. Have you experienced kindness that changed your life? Hit that like button, subscribe for more inspiring true stories,